So we are fascinated by how in everything we do, we are searching the whole time for where the truth is. We are looking in our environments to understand what's real. And modern technology has really facilitated that as well. So if you think about your need to know as much information about what your hotel room is going to look like for your summer holiday, I suspect you might have Googled it, you might have gone on TripAdvisor, you've probably had a good look at what the photographs looked like for the travellers who gave it disappointing results. We are constantly now looking for getting as much information about what is real as possible. What we find massively interesting at Capp is that when we get to use our strengths, we actually see authenticity come through as an output. So if you can recruit people who actually want to use their strengths in work, one of the gifts you give them is they act authentically. The one way that you can actually assess for authenticity is to allow the candidate to get real information about the job and for you to assess them with as much reality as you can. So we have to strip back anything in a process that might be fake. And one of the very first things we did at Capp was in an assessment centre, we took everything that was fake out of the assessment centre. We got assessors sat in the group exercise, we let them be real people. We took fake candidate briefs away, anything to create this level of realism, because we knew when we could do it, we got closer to assessing that strength. So what is a strength? How can we measure it? How can we get this level of authenticity? There are three lenses that are unique to the Capp methodology and come from our 14 years of research and my other co-founders' academic background. Am I good at this role, at this behaviour you want me to demonstrate in this job? Critically, am I going to be energised when I get to use that behaviour or do this job? And do I want to do it often? It's not just a closet thing I like doing at weekends, it's actually something I want to be doing often. Does the candidate have these three things? If we do an interview, does the candidate have these three things? At the assessment centre, if you're in a virtual reality room, this is what we're measuring. And what we hear frequently is it's the last two that stop us relying on past experience. And this can work at any part of the life cycle, whether it's emerging talent or experienced hire. In the emerging talent space, it's fascinating because you'll get more potential, and in the experienced hire space, it's fascinating because you might not choose people who your agency put through as the best CV or who was the best person in LinkedIn. So how do we build these processes? First of all, what is critical is measure what matters. I know when you did the opening poll, data wasn't your kind of top need, but if you want consistency, then guess what? You have to start with knowing that what you're measuring is going to predict success longer term. If you ever want to dabble in artificial intelligence in future years, then knowing exactly you are measuring variables that are going to predict success is critical. And we use a methodology called success analysis to do that. And guess what? Looking for the strengths in the top performers is part of that methodology. You didn't say that candidate experience was key for you, but what I'd hope is you can start to see, if you want to measure something that's realistic, then now we're taking this candidate experience of your culture, your values, your organisation to the candidate to see what they think about it, to start being kind of the TripAdvisor of jobs as you approach your candidates online and when they come in and see you. Taking this enriched, realistic experience will give them a culture preview. Vanessa currently works at Barclays. We work with many banks. The cultures are different. You can't just whack in the same assessment and hope that you're going to get the right matched individuals. And then another piece of this kind of authentic journey is giving feedback. One of the things that we have baked into our online processes is that we will give strengths-based feedback to everyone that takes an assessment. And where you can, continue in that discipline. Take it right through to onboarding. Your process should be seen as that first port of call from a talent perspective. You get this really rich data you can then port through for successful candidates as well. And make that feedback impactful. Talk about the strengths the individual has. Don't just focus on you're in the 50th percentile of every other average candidate. That is identical to my son's school report, by the way. I'm trying to get strengths into education. So a little highlight, and Vanessa and Dave will talk more about kind of how can these things look. This is one example, and after Vanessa has shared some of her experiences, I will give you a more in-depth example. But this is just a snapshot of how an online strengths-based assessment can look. So you're actually taking more the branding of your website out to the candidate, giving them autonomy. They don't have to go through this assessment sequentially. You can load it with things about you, videos about your organisation, but start to assess them almost like they're having a virtual work experience within the job. And where possible, bring in some narrative. One of the things where we aid that consistency is we'll take a narrative right from online marketing through to assessment centre. We often talk about the Barclays kind of final assessment centre stage being a finale of that story and that narrative. We'll talk a bit about results, and I've told Vanessa to share all the lessons learned, warts and all. But the results are really quite staggering that we see. Incredible candidate engagement results. Candidates describing this as kind of one of the best processes that they've ever been through. And then year on year, seeing results in relation to retention, diversity, business performance. And when you measure what matters, year on year, you can make changes to your process to enhance that assessment capability as well. So if you didn't get the exact diversity you wanted in year one, we can amend the assessment tool, we can enhance the interview, because at Capp what we're doing is capturing that data at every time point and working with you to constantly enhance those results. So some great outcomes. We have many partners, we're fortunate to have some of those with us today, but the breadth of organisations that are starting to embed this approach globally is not set to any sector. It's really those individuals that are looking to take out to the candidate exactly what their culture is, and that they're trying to enhance that diversity and efficiency.